Welcome back to Life at the Outpost. Round 3, done and dusted. 3 of 3 for the boys. Quite good results.
Best results since 07.
2007, yeah. Haven't had first 3 on the trot to start a season off since 07. So.
Especially so many aways as well.
Yeah.
2 aways.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. I mean, well, in Queensland still, right?
Still away, though. Still away.
Yeah, not at home. Well, 2 aways and then
2 away, 1
home. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, three on the trot. So nice little record so far for the boys. Hopefully they can hold it up. A couple questionable performances in the first half. Dolphins game was a little bit different, but last week at home against the Knights, bit dramatic of a game to start it off, but yeah,
It's sus, really, eh?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boys clawed it back in. They
Thank God.
pulled it back together, which was good to see in the end there. I mean, the footy they played in that second half was amazing. That's what we want to be seeing them do from the start of the game for a full 80-minute performance, which I think we saw a little bit better this week against the Dragons there. They got into their work a little bit earlier and played a little bit more to their potential a bit earlier. But
still not a full 80, you know? Still not a full 80 yet.
no, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
It still wasn't an 80-minute performance, which is, in my opinion, relatively concerning, I think. Early in the season, so you want them to sort of, if they're going to be playing like that, get it out of the way early. But good signs on the up. That being said, we haven't really played any, I don't want to say top of the ladder teams because we are top of the ladder where we should be, but of previous seasons, top of the ladder teams. So we're yet to be tested in that sense. But overall, pretty great footy. Second half onwards, I think the last 2 weeks anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think when you talk about, when we ignore just the first halves from those 2 games, because let's be honest, they weren't too flash, but
Yeah.
the second halves, I think both of those games, really quite stellar performances, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sold that we were coming back from the Knights game. I thought that was incredible stuff from Tom Dearden.
Yep. He really did. He really did pull the socks up in that one himself, and bring it back between him and Chad. But we've got to probably give it him a bit more. So
I mean, geez, just the way that he, we were doing it tough in the middle. The boys started to slouch again. We started coming up, and then we started to take the foot off the throat a bit again.
Yep.
And he turns back to the boys and says, "No. This is what we do. Run straight the line, 2v1." I think it was Crosland and Gagai. I want to say Crosland and Gagai.
Yeah, right up the guts.
Straight into both of them. Took them 1-on-2.
Yep.
Little man on two.
Arguably bigger players,
bigger men. Yeah,
yep.
and he got the job done.
Yep.
And just how animated he got after that. I mean that's inspiring stuff. And
right after
fantastic.
2, I think Kulikefu took a big run. He nearly got there, got to the line, but got there. And then I did see him get up, as you say, animated. He wasn't really feeding it to Kulikefu, but I think, letting him know that's how it's done, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Which might have inspired him a bit, seeing Kula go over this week.
Oh, geez, he had a blinder this week too. He's going to be so stellar.
Yeah, perfect opportunity for Kulikefu at the moment. But you're not wrong there. I think Dearden in that Knights game really did pull the socks up and help bring the boys home there. Knights game as a whole, not great. We're probably really lucky to come away with a win in that one, which is not good. But end of the day, we got the 2 points. It's really all that matters there, I guess. The second half, as I was saying earlier, that's the footy you want to be seeing, but you just want to be seeing it earlier on. So hopefully the boys can get into it a bit earlier from now on. But
and it might just be a bit of being reserved, trying to feel the enemy out, see what's going on first. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, you let that happen. You let that happen against your Panthers, your Raiders, your Warriors. You do that. You let them have that sort of advantage.
Yep.
There's a good chance they're not going to let you back.
Blowout lead and making it harder on yourselves to come back from. That's exactly
Manly,
right.
God, I'm afraid of Manly.
Yeah, at the moment, that's exactly right.
But there is a few gun teams right now that look pretty hot to start.
Yeah, exactly right. But probably again we really rightfully didn't deserve to win, but the boys did pull it out together. Holmes eating a bit too much buttered popcorn. at before kickoff, making it a bit harder on himself. And I don't know.
Look, it's not often that Val has bludgers like that, and that was exceptionally rough.
It was something a bit different. Yeah, I think he might have had his shoes on the wrong feet as well for the most part of that game. But good to see him this week sort of pull it back and get back into it, get back into form. I think Townsend as well, back to the Knights game, Townsend, it was good to see him kicking with purpose as well. I mean, icing the game with that field goal at the end there. You love it. You love to see it from the Chad. In Chad we trust again, somewhat still. But yeah, you love to see it all come together, albeit a bit late in the game, but come together like that. Moving on to the Dragons game, the start of it was a little bit scary. I know my hairline's receding a bit, but that doesn't help at all. I felt it coming out in patches. That first probably 20 minutes of that game, I think, really. It was
probably about 20-25 minutes. It was all Dragons, and it was looking bleak, that's for sure. And then just out of the gate.
I mean, we started well. First 5 minutes or so, we started well, and it was positive signs. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, yep, back to playing how we did last week. No real direction, or getting run up the middle, and defense just tacky at times.
I think the best way I could put it is losing control.
Yeah,
I mean, one thing that we seem to do very well, especially in those second halves. I mean, and that's in all three games.
Yep.
Is really controlling where we're getting the ball and controlling where we're holding the enemy team, and really winning that field position and that possession as well.
Yep.
I think that's where we're really excelling at the moment, outside of the usage of our forwards. My God, but I think they just seem to let that go a little in that early part of the game and lose a bit of focus. Maybe they're trying to play a bit too loose. I don't know. It's sus at the start.
Maybe a bit too flashy or something. I don't know. I'm not too sure, because it's not that flashy to fucking watch. But yeah, I do. I'm on board with you there. Exactly right. Just that control and being on board or whatever.
And I mean, stats don't lie as well. I mean, you look at them, and for second half performances, I mean, possession is generally very Cowboys favoured.
Yeah, it has been. Exactly right.
Field position as well. You look at field position and where tackles are being made and tackles being taken.
Yep.
Generally very Cowboys biased in second halves.
Yeah, results are telling that the last couple of weeks as well. Anyway, how the games have ended up.
Even in the Knights game, the Knights game where it looked like it was all over for all money, we still had very positive stats.
Yep.
Especially from a possession standpoint and positional standpoint.
Yeah.
So I think they maybe just are trying a few too many flashy things, or maybe they're just trying to play their own individual sort of games at the start there, and just feel things out, get the enemy feeling them out a bit.
Yep.
And they just need to tighten it up and really put it on an 80 just to really scare some teams a bit.
Yeah, exactly right. Not be pushover as such that first part of that first half, and really maintain a bit of dominance, or come out of the gate with a bit of dominance, really. Yeah, you're not wrong. Exactly right. The scoreline of that Dragons game, obviously a lot more positive, a lot better than the Knights. So, second half, coming out of that second half and just absolutely running amok. Forwards had a big game. Kula Kefu going over for a try. I think McIntyre went over as well. Neem, Big Griffin Neem. It's almost like everyone was getting a try there.
Geez, he deserved it too. He had a cracking game.
Neem was amazing. I think probably one of his better. I mean, we spoke about it earlier in the preseason, one of the first episodes, I think, of this, where I think you were talking about the in the trial, the bat back he got.
Just the effort, and that's really, it's carried over, obviously, which is fantastic. But when you're talking about big boys like that, the biggest thing the biggest credit you can really give to them is their effort.
Yeah.
Because really at the end of the day, realistically, their job's to run hard and offload if they can.
Hold the ball, truck the nut.
Truck the nut as well.
If the opportunity arises, let the ball go cleanly, which
as long as it's safe.
Which we've been seeing a bit of, I think, is good. A bit more confidence in that sort of thing as well. But you're not wrong. Neem did have a great game coming off the bench. Kula Kefu as well, getting more minutes now with Lukey since the last time we did this episode. Lukey's now out for around about 6 weeks, I think, with that syndesmosis ankle injury. So unfortunate. I hope we didn't jinx him. But talking about how you've either got one or the other between himself and Nanai on the field at any one time. They just can't seem to pair up and stay on the field for longer than a week or two at a time.
Lo and behold, we need to shut up.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, giving Kulikafu some game time or more minutes, elevating him into the starting side, which is good. And I think he.
I'm not unhappy about that either. I think
he showed he deserves it.
He deserves it. Yeah,
in my opinion, and that game was good. Yeah, I mean, having him in my fantasy team just a cheapie to pick up, and the potential being there. His stats are quite solid. You know what I mean? The output is there, and
I mean, realistically, right? Like when Lukey is back and whatnot, and he is fit to play again,
he'll keep the bench spot.
Exactly, he will keep that bench spot.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
Yeah, exactly right.
He's killing it.
He's not going to lose that bench spot.
I think even as an impact, he's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, he's probably not the full 80-minute motor, obviously, just yet. Being a bit younger, he's not conditioned to it just yet. But the minutes he does play and the consistency in that of it all, like he's an impact player coming on. You got some tired forwards up the middle or something like that when he comes on with 15 minutes to go in that first half, or even toward the end of the second half or something. Just
I mean, he makes every minute
dangerous.
Count. That's what's awesome.
Yeah, dangerous. Exactly right. So better scoreline there from the boys, definitely. I think it was positive signs. Probably getting into it a bit earlier, like we said. You want them to have that 80-minute performance, but getting into their work a bit earlier and taking control. So, I think everyone can't really fault anyone on their game this week. Chester was a bit of a late inclusion coming in for Laybutt with an ankle injury.
Exactly,
Don't know whether that was a warm-up injury or what it was. He was a bit of a laid out, but I think Chester as well had a pretty positive game. I think you spoke in the first episode about him getting a bit more of an opportunity in the centres, which is what he did. We've seen him at fullback. We've seen how he can play at fullback. But yeah, in the centres there is a bit of an impact player, strike centre sort of thing. I think he did well for a bit of a late call-up anyway.
I think his defence was a little off, but
yep.
I think from an attacking standpoint, and also, again, this comes back to what I was saying just before about position and stuff like that. You can see he clearly knows his stuff.
Yep.
He's where he needs to be at all times, which is good. He was very Johnny on the spot, so that was excellent to see, because, I mean, really, that's sort of what we want him to be, not necessarily as a center.
Yeah.
We want him to be sort of playing like a fullback and stuff like that, or even playing like a half.
Yeah, exactly right.
Just like a smaller bloke in general, really. But
yep.
I think for playing center, he did exactly what he had to do, but he still kept it interesting and showed colours and flash of what he needed to be outside of that role.
Yep.
Which I think is going to be important going on in the future.
Yeah, 100%, exactly right. So, positive signs from all the boys that we're getting into it there. I think it's going to be tough, the next couple of weeks. I don't know. I saw in terms of injuries, I think Cotter, it might have just been a bit of a stinger.
I was worried about that. Yeah, I'm hoping it's not going to be another syndesmosis sort of thing. Because when he went down the way he did, I was sort of like, oh.
Yeah, it almost looked like it might have been a bit more of a burner or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he got up and walked it out, and it was over pretty quickly, which was good.
Yeah.
Concerning still. Hopefully they. Man, I just hope rehab goes hard, bro.
I haven't heard anything more on it, which is probably pretty positive. Honestly,
definitely positive, yeah.
But
But that said, we didn't hear anything about Labour until 1 hour before the game. So.
Yeah, exactly. So teamless Tuesday anyway. Tomorrow we'll see what the go is there and probably hear a bit more about it then. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. We don't really want Cotter going down again as well. I mean, everyone that's coming in and getting an opportunity is getting a go, but every player that you lose from that starting side, the harder the dynamic becomes, I think, in my opinion. Laybutt, I'm not too sure about that. I haven't heard any more about that of you in terms of injury.
It's been kept very under wraps. And I mean, even if you look on the casualty ward as well,
nothing on there reported
nothing on there
just yet.
Reported even that he's injured.
Yeah.
Which is strange. So maybe he's already good, and maybe it was just a bit of a concern during warm up. Because it was very late. It was literally just before an hour, like right as the hour ticked over.
Yeah, they made the decision.
So,
yep.
hopes and prayers.
Yeah.
He's a gun and we need him. But he was a little bit quiet in the nights, so that's what also made me question. I was like, oh, maybe there is something.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a byproduct as the team from the team, as the team as a whole was playing. But yeah, exactly right. So Laybutt, hopefully nothing too serious, and it was just a bit of a drop, and he gets a rest for a week, and he's good to go next week. Yeah. But speaking on Lukey earlier, that's another one we've lost for a few weeks with that ankle injury, which isn't any good. It's we're sort of flush at the moment. We've got a few players. Gajewski come in and took Kulikefu's bench spot and did his job as he always does, which is quite good. But he's sucks.
Just reliable, He's just really reliable, and that's what's awesome about it.
Yeah, 100%.
We're not short on reliable, solid players right now. And
that's positive,
massive,
finally.
Positive,
yeah. It just sucks not being able to. We spoke on it, how dangerous that pairing, Nenai and Lukey on the field at the same time, how they can be.
We've got to stop talking about that.
We saw how they, how dangerous they were. But
it's the worst jinx, Like every time we do, I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah, yep. They, it just makes it that little bit harder, for the boys to maintain that same sort of dynamic, I guess. I mean, hopefully all things going well, he does do well with rehab and whatnot, comes back firing, and the boys can get back into it. But then obviously that's getting closer to Origin time too. So whether you see Nenai drop out for Origin duties, and it may make it a bit harder for Lukey in terms of getting picked for Origin, but. Yeah, all the best, and hopefully he recovers quite soon. And fingers crossed there aren't any more serious injuries. It's it's a bit concerning. There's been a fair few injuries throughout all the teams almost the last 2 or 3 rounds, I think. So I'm not too sure what the go is, but between knees and ankles, it seems to be a pretty prevalent thing at the moment. I think that's about it though in terms of injuries and that we've got since our last episode.
Obviously, still Hesse. Indefinite at this stage.
Yeah, well that's the season, I think. Yeah, he won't be back this year, unfortunately. So, as we spoke on, you're given Kulikefu's getting a go, McIntyre's getting a go as well again, and at the moment you've got
spoiled for choice, really.
Yeah, Gajewski, McKaylee's sitting there at 18th man. He's been floating around 18th, 19th man for a bit. So, Origin time comes, you might even see him get a bit more of an opportunity and get a couple games in, which will be good too. But fingers crossed there aren't any more serious injuries moving forward. I think might look at Player of the Month or something like that. Who have you got for? Because it's pretty well, every 2 weeks we're getting an episode out. So Player of the Month is probably an easier one to look at as opposed to Player of the Week or whatever. But from what you've seen so far, the last 3 rounds, who have you got?
Oh, it's Tom.
Tom Dearden?
Tom Dearden, mate.
Yep.
It's just for a young kid, just take everything in his stride this year. Captaincy.
Yep.
The pressure of all that, and then just standing up in every single game and just taking it by the scruff of the neck and just saying, "No, look, we might be down here, but this is how it's going to go, and I'm going to show you how it's done."
Yeah.
I mean, and he's done it time and time again.
Yep.
All 3 games.
Yep.
You can't say enough about how stellar he has been this year so far.
Yep. We've seen it, the last 2 seasons or so, he's improved and, he's getting that voice and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. This season, from the get-go, he's just, he's just really, really started to run things, I think. And
really coming out of his shell this year.
Yeah. Show the boys how it's done, even with us having a tough, slow start, first half of the last couple games. I think, he's really putting in that effort. So, agree with you there. I, myself, would have been a pick between Tom Dearden or just based on that Dragons game, I've got to say Robson as well.
Oh, Reese is having a
Robson's the alternative, I mean, didn't fire as much in that Knights game, but, on the weekend, man, insane, just taking the line on. I think he even put a couple kicks in there, solid kicks, little grubber kicks and whatnot. Just the effort's insane. We know how good he can be, but I
He's
think
just
he's
an attack workhorse, man.
yeah, exactly right. Coming up
man,
against his old club, just showing them, this is where I am now.
you let
This
me
is
go, bruh.
you let me go. Yeah, how's McInnes doing for you? And McCulloch, oh, they're not there anymore.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Damn, look at me now. Yeah. I think I've got to pick him for Player of the Month, man. He's probably one of my favourite players anyway in that spine and in that team. But
So instrumental with Jake getting older as well.
yeah, exactly right. It's good to see him. Good to see him fire. Good to see him do well. So yeah. Robson for me for that
Good
one.
for us, bad for yourself.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah, bad when it comes to Origin time because you know what that means is I can't see him not getting picked again this year. Or, I mean, he should be
Definitely
getting picked anyway. But yeah, sucks to see him in the sky blue. Upcoming games this weekend, we've got the first derby, Broncos derby anyway, down at Suncorp in Brisbane there. I'm feeling pretty positive about it.
Very positive about it. I do feel a bit sorry for the Broncos in their situation right now with so much star power being basically sidelined, some of it controversially and unfairly, but
due to injury and whatnot. And whatnot.
I mean it's very unfortunate. But I think for, I guess, the competition perspective, I would have liked to verse a full strength Broncos just to give us a real test.
Yeah.
Especially so we can try and really pen together that 80-minute game.
Yeah.
And really show that we can do it against the top team as well. But we'll have to wait and see for the next derby. But either way, I'm very positive about this game. I think they're going to. I think the Broncos are going to really struggle against us in the middle, especially without Payne. But that said, I'm hoping that our boys don't go into this game and underestimate the likes of Tristan Saylor. I think he's, quite frankly, a freak.
Yeah,
and I think he's only not in that side because Reece is so freakish himself.
Yeah, so. Exactly right. Getting that opportunity in the call up, we know how good he is. We saw it last year, so it's not going to be a sort of a tough thing or a tough walk in for him.
100%. The key point is just don't underestimate that kid because he will run rings around you.
Yeah, I do tend to agree. Like the way we've started the last couple of weeks, you can't really. I mean, even though Broncos are undermanned at the moment, underpowered, that you can't let them get too far ahead because I think it's still going to be a tough game. You know what I mean? Our form and theirs compared, I think it's still going to be a tough game.
It'll be a grind for sure.
Down in Suncorp, we know they always are. They're very close and tough games, strong games, but we saw how the Broncos played last year when they were down Reynolds. You know what I mean? Madden was in the 7 there, I'm pretty sure. And when they were up here, and they still had a amazing game. So,
and even though it was severely shut down, in that Panthers game this week, he still had a great game.
Yeah, I'm feeling positive with our forward pack. You know, despite injury and whatnot, potential niggles and that, I think our forward pack should still win the battle there with that one, and then our halves pairing and whatnot. Should still come out on top. So I'm tipping the Cowboys. I'm going to say Cowboys by 12. But, I've
got Cows by 8.
Yep. I don't think it's going to be a walkover. Yeah, it sounds like you probably got a similar idea, but I don't think it's going to be a walkover or an easy game by any means. Then next weekend is the next home game back up in Townsville, Queensland Country Bank Stadium against the Titans. Now, this one's probably a little bit more positive from what we've seen so far. Titans having dramas left, right, and centre with stringing any sort of coherent, consistent gameplay.
And then injury
Coherent's
on top.
Probably the wrong word, but
man, I just don't see the Titans having even a single chance.
Compounded by their outs, Campbell, Fafita, which I think they should both be back soon. But now Tino ruled out for the season with that ACL injury, which is relatively tragic. That's their main enforcer. Captain, leader of the squad.
They're gonna need something special. They're gonna need a.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them. And then I think again,
feel for them.
Providing we can shake off that hoodoo, the first half hoodoo. I think our form's going to be a lot better. Just coming up in comparison to them. So again, pretty positive. You don't want to get ahead of yourselves and maybe let the Cowboys have the last couple of weeks, potentially, resting on their laurels a little bit and just letting the game get away from them. Not really playing for that first 20 minutes, but yeah, I think we'll be all right for that one myself. What about you?
I think with the Titans, not really worried about that one. I think it's it's just one of those things. I think based on the way that they're currently playing the Titans, I just don't think that they can really compare, which is unfortunate. But it's not their fault. It's purely circumstantial. I mean, it's no different to when we used to lose JT and Morgo and all that sort of stuff at the same time. It's just the way it goes sometimes, and victim of circumstance. So I'm not really concerned about that game per se. I think we'll have a tougher time with the Broncos game.
Yeah, Desi's got his hands together. Hands together, head in his hands, I should say, trying to get the boys up, and I think it's going to be tough against us running 3 on the trot anyway. Hopefully 4 on the trot by then, but yeah, I think it's going to be a solid game from the Cows anyway. At least, and I think we'll come away. I'm going to go 13 plus on that one myself. Don't want to get too cocky, but I think that's a safe 13 plus, that one.
It'll be a 13 plus from me there, Chief. Sorry about that one.
Yep. Now, we said on the previous potties, give us a follow on Instagram. Not Hit the Gap. That's our other one. Hit the Gap. Life at the Outpost podcast, or Life at the Outpost. If you search it up on Instagram, you should find us there. We are on YouTube. If you're watching this, you know that already, but you can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But we've actually got a follower on the Instagram message in, Mitchell Firth. He's sent in a few questions. So feel free, anyone that's interested, if you've got any suggestions or questions or anything you want to send in, swing us a message on there or leave a comment on one of the other platforms.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a good name.
We'll get into it. Yeah, Mitchell agrees. He's up. He's always up for a fellow Mitch. Mitchell has sent through a couple questions. He's asked thoughts on the push-up boys being retired. Now, this one's relatively controversial. I didn't know about it, and I feel like not anyone knew about it until probably the day of the first home game, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there was a sneaky little article about it, and it didn't even really get pushed. So I don't know what the go is there, but I feel like only people that go to Cows games would even understand how really culturally integral they are. As well
to home games, Cowboys home games.
It's a big thing in my opinion. I'm very unhappy about it.
Yeah, I think the first thing I think of, even before I really had much of an interest in football, but being a little kid, as young as I can remember, 3, 4 even, maybe going to home games with Dad, and that's the one thing I always remember. The scoreboard, the Dairy Farmers cow, and the push-up boys.
And I mean, there's not really a better feeling than going to a home game, seeing the boys turn up and absolutely pump another team. And then watching them have to send
struggling to get into it. Yeah, exactly right. It's just one of them things. I mean, you can have all your halftime performances and your mascots and all that stuff you want, but just one of them long-running things, I think. And from what I've seen, the general consensus from the local community is they're pretty upset about it, and pretty upset that there wasn't even like a consultation. From what I understand, I don't know whether this is factual or not, but what I understand, it was the club's decision. From what one of the push-up boys, I think, had said, the club's decision to retire them. There wasn't really much in the way of a conversation or anything. It was just hasta la vista, see you later, thanks for your effort, time to pay for tickets now. You're not getting free tickets and sitting on the sideline anymore. But I think they've, for whatever reason, they've retired them. So I know
let's keep the boys fit.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly right. Really, I mean, in my opinion, disappointing for a club that, goes on about being about the NQ community and I
mean, we're built on cultural stuff like that,
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Polling for things or wanting to get your opinion. I know, being a season pass holder, they always want your opinion on something or other. It just feels like, well, does that really matter at all?
Yeah.
You're not even being... It might seem like a very minuscule thing, just retiring a mascot in their eyes or something like that. But yeah, really, it's just something that adds to that home game atmosphere. I'm seeing, and I wasn't there for it, so I can't really comment on it, but I'm seeing a fair bit of distaste and people being unhappy with... There must be a bit of a new dynamic with home games. Even announcers, Minty, getting on there, and the yarns he's spinning were sounding pretty tragic from what I hear. Some new call-outs. They weren't really... I mean, you got to there's time for change. There's always time for change. Things change, and you know what I mean. You want to go in a new direction, but maybe a little bit more consultation or some sort of consideration from the community and the followers that are paying their hard-earned to go to those games.
Shout out Minty there, good bloke.
Might be in order. Yeah, don't know him, but yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's just doing all he can. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely a bit disappointing, the push-up boys, Mitchell, in my opinion. I think you're probably hard-pressed to find anyone that's not disappointed in it.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's gone to a Cows game in the last 5+ years, maybe.
Yeah.
Be not disappointed by it. So let's really hope that they actually do rectify that and bring them back, at least if...
To some extent.
Just to some extent, yeah. At least give us something.
Yeah, they... I know there's a petition getting around. I'm pretty sure you can find it in the North Queensland Cowboys Stampede Facebook group. But yeah, there's a petition going around, and hopefully, I mean, whether they do look at it or not, hopefully someone there at the Cowboys rival or whoever is in charge of all that looks at it and goes, oh, that might have been a bit of an error, learns the error of their ways, and whether they reinstate them or have something there for them. It just really sort of disappointing.
I mean, even if they wanted to move away from like the push up for every try or whatever, the fair enough. Look, change is always something that's important, but I think at the end of the day, you can't really take away fully the cultural side of things, really, and the community side of things. So it's even if you did it like at the halftime show or something like that,
it's interaction with the crowd. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like going back to back in the day, like as far back as I can remember, there used to be a live band that would play at halftime. You'd have people parachute into the stadium from memory. I mean, I can understand why people aren't parachuting into the stadium anymore, things like that. But everything was just a lot more grand than sort of what it is now. You know, yeah, it's nice to have a nice big stadium with flashy lights and you can have a light show, but yeah, just that sort of crowd interaction and stuff that you're not going to see every week at home that you're going to go to a Cowboys home game and see. Not being there to look forward to just sort of takes away from it a little bit. But yeah, that's our opinion on that. Probably doesn't matter to the Cowboys board at all, but if it does, there you go. He's also asked, should JT move to the bench and be an impact sub? Yeah. I mean, they did, as you say in your message there, Mitchell, they released why they're limiting his minutes so much, and makes sense. It's not a bad idea. I think moving forward, maybe in the next season or two, coming toward the end of his contract, I would not be surprised to see that happen at all.
From a more consistent standpoint.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Even now, like, I mean, I fully agree with what they're doing with JT anyway. I mean, you know, he's not getting any younger and he's not getting any less injured. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest about it. You can. There's everyone seems to want to keep bringing up this whole money thing, and at the end of the day, he's earned that. He's played for that for like the last 7 years, 7 years. You know, like he's played for that. He's earned that, and he's well entitled to that. I think doing what is being done now, which is limiting him and using him as essentially still.
It's almost like a run-on impact sub.
A run-on. But then if things get tough, if the time gets tough, you saw it in the Knights game. Times got tough. Get him back out for a second stint then.
And he gets into his work.
Yeah, you know? I mean, exactly right. Gets it done.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm no coach, but what I see happening is, you know, he's getting the minutes he's getting now, and then eventually, he'll move on to that impact sub role maybe in the next season or two sort of thing. I mean, writing's on the wall with it, whether he likes it or not. You know, they want to get the most out of him, and it's not even just getting the most out of him as a player. I mean, it's quality of life after football.
100%.
You've got, you know, that degenerative issue. Like, it's once you stop playing football, that's not going to stop. That's going to carry on. And, you know, you can do whatever you can do in terms of surgery or whatever, if there is even anything that's going to improve quality of life after that. Yeah, So I think as disappointing as it is to sort of not see the same form from JT or same sort of JT we've known, you know,
life,
him to be. Yeah, that's it. That's life. Yeah. That's how it is. His effort, I don't think, isn't there. Like, you can listen to all the people, the armchair experts that don't really have an idea about football, talk about how he's getting big money and not putting any effort or gotten lazy, but not the case. I mean, there are games, not to say there aren't games where, you know, he probably doesn't put in the effort or doesn't get as much done as he could, but Yeah, yeah,
I'm
you
sure
know what
there's
I mean.
days we all go to work and we don't do the same.
Yeah, exactly right.
It is what
For
it
the
is,
most
man.
part, yeah, exactly right.
We
I
get
think,
old. It sucks. It happens.
yeah, I think you're, and such a like a heavy contact sport,
Mm.
you know, and so heavy tolling, taxing on the body. Yeah,
Realistically, I think I'm more impressed that this is coming from Todd. Like I'm more impressed that Todd really cares more about the welfare than anything.
yeah, probably coming from the mindset of an ex
Mm.
Ford as well. You know, whether I know he's got knee issues himself as well. Probably putting himself in his shoes and saying, "Look, man, you don't want to end up like me in another 10 years," sort of thing. So
And Todd, we trust, man. I think it's just a great tactical play.
yeah,
But I think it's also a great welfare play.
longevity and welfare.
Welfare
Yep,
play for Jason.
yep.
And like you said, he might not be fully on board with it, but there are people there are powers above that are looking out for him right now, and I think it's just credit to Todd, really.
Yeah, yep, most definitely. Uh, and then what do we got next? Early in the season, he says. But does Chad get renewed? Do we bring Jake Clifford, in, or move Drinkwater to the 7 and Chester to the number 1? Interesting idea there. I think, in my opinion, anyway, I think Chad will probably get renewed maybe for one more season, potentially one more if anything. Might be a little bit early, potentially just to bring Clifford straight in, but yeah, if they don't do that, I think he'll get renewed for one more season, and then I'm thinking you're probably going to see Chad leave the club and Dearden take the number 7. In my opinion, man, I think the last 2 or 3 years he's, as we spoke on earlier and spoken on many times, he's really taken the game by the scruff of the neck and shown the boys how it's done. Providing he himself thinks he's ready, you know, he wants the responsibility. I think you might see him move into the 7 and Clifford take 5/8 roll up. We saw how well he did there over in the Super League and whatnot, so wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the direction they're looking to go. You do sort of mention having Drinkwater in the halves, which he has done before. I think that was what he wanted to do when he came to the Cowboys, and they gave him the opportunity. The only problem I saw there, and it was a relatively consistent problem, was it felt like Drinkwater was probably 10 steps ahead of the rest of the team. He was trying to pull off plays. There was a lot of individual brilliance, but no one else was on the same page, so it was very rare that anything came off. I mean, it is an option, potentially, but if anything, I'd think, again, you're probably going to see maybe Dearden in the 7, Drinkwater in the 6, if anything, and then Clifford maybe an impact player, the utility, number 14. And you could potentially, I think Clifford, I'm all over the shop here. I think Chester does have the potential to play fullback. We've seen that already when he filled in. Might be a few years off, in my opinion.
I
though.
think Chester's just a couple of years off. That's
Yeah, bit too early, sort of thing. So
I think he'll always be involved from a bench perspective.
yeah,
Whether it's to fill in centers, fill in wing for injury, all that sort of stuff. I think he'll always be pretty much always brought into the side.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
yep,
But I think it's one of those issues we've got now where we're just spoiled for choice.
You look at it. I mean, you look at how Hammer was, where Hammer's position was. That's pretty much where Chester is at the moment. He's
Exactly.
the new age Hammer at the moment, albeit just sort of kept out of the side because of our bench, the way our bench is looking. Once Granville goes, I think once Jakey Granville goes, I think you'll start to see Chester
Move into that utility. Yeah.
Clifford and or Chester will move into that utility spot, one of the two. It's probably going to be Clifford, really, but Chester's going to be that next man up to
I
get.
don't know. I think that it could actually be Chester, and Chad is playing well this year.
Mm-hmm.
Chad is playing very well. He is definitely bounced back.
Yep.
But I don't know. I've just got this little thing. I've got this little thing niggling at me that says this is the last year for Chad.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not wrong too.
I don't necessarily think it's either going to be like a cow's choice either. I think it's going to be his choice.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, well, there's still a lot of season left to go.
There's a lot of season to go. Though,
Yeah.
So we and it's pending injuries and stuff too, man. There's so many variables that can come into play here.
Yeah, I mean, him and his manager, I think, both did come out and say there hadn't been any talks about re-signing him just yet. So, I mean, read into that what you will. That's pretty telling, somewhat, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, I think if anything, one season, if anything. But yeah, again, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if this is his final season with the boys and they do say maybe move forward to that. But yeah, exactly right. What are you thinking? Dearden into the 7 or Clifford into the 7, or what are you thinking if Chad does go?
Look, if Chad goes, I think Dearden goes 7.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
Dearden goes 7. I think Clifford goes 6. I think that's
Yep.
just, you can't, like, you look at Clifford, how he played when he was around,
Yep.
and the little moments of brilliance he had.
Yeah.
There was a lot of not so brilliant moments, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
Yep.
but there was a lot of moments of brilliance he did have.
Yep.
And I think you look at the moments of brilliance he had in the Super League.
Yeah, exactly right. A lot more consistent.
Man.
Yeah. Probably a byproduct, and we've spoken on it before, byproduct of where the team was at the time when Clifford got thrown into there, much
Yeah.
like Dearden did at the Broncos. But, yeah.
I think you just can't ignore the fact that he is a natural born 6.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I'm going to go with. I think for this year, I think this is probably Chad's last year,
Yep.
and we see Clifford go into the 6 and Dearden move into the 7 and be the captain.
Yep.
The big daddy Chatty.
And Big Daddy
The
Chatty.
new, the new Chatty.
And Drinkwater holding down that fullback spot. In Drinky, we trust. Drinkwater, our man. The last one he's got here, club you despise the most.
Before you do go on as
Oh.
well, I do have to say as
Ooh.
well that with Drinky,
Yeah.
I think as much as he would like to be in the halves,
Yeah.
man, he's just undeniably sensational as a fullback.
Yep.
So
Yeah, fullback, I think that's probably where he shines the most. I mean, I have no doubt he could eventually move into the halves if he wanted to, you know what I mean, once he's in a side.
I mean, it's just no different to Val being,
Yeah.
Wanting to do things and then being told, look, man, I know you want to do that, but you're really, really good at this, whether you want to believe it or not.
Yeah. Like I said, I think he has the potential. He can move back into the halves, if he wanted to later in life. But I think where the team is at the moment, where he is in this team anyway, I think he's best suited and best utilised at fullback there. Exactly right. You're
100%.
right. And fun one. But what is the club you despise the most and why? Is this an easy one for you? Do you know who you're picking and why? Or
Yeah.
Yep. Take it away.
Riff.
Yep.
Look, I think all fun and jokes aside with the whole, it's the winning team all the time and whatnot, the three-peat, all that sort of stuff. Ignore all that for a second. I just think there's a lot of arrogance that comes out of him. I can't stand that. And then I think the other thing that probably frustrates me more is just the consistency in terms of calls off the field.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like that.
A little bit of bias, maybe.
I
you're
think
thinking?
I'm not suggesting anything in particular, but things just seem to go their way a little more often than not,
Yep.
and I hate that.
Yep.
I do hate that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. They're one that's sort of, I mean, for the last probably decade. Sorry, not a decade. Maybe 15
it honestly
years.
feels worse than Roosters, and that's a
Yeah.
statement.
Maybe
So-
15 years or so. They've sort of flown under the radar until the last 5 or so. But yeah, exactly right. Just it's easy. I mean, everyone loved them on the way up because it was such a good turnaround. But then when they were winning constantly and the arrogance did come out, it was a bit of a, well, no, fuck you guys, be humble. But you can't. You've sucked for that long. You're not that great. But really, they are. They are
Honourable
that good.
mentions to Parramatta though, with the flailing arms 24/7.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. That's it seems to be spreading among all players at the moment from that game on the weekend.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm probably going to have to say, and this is just going back, over the years, thinking about it across the board, it's got to be the Roosters for me.
Mhm.
I just, I know it's the glamour club. Everyone wants to be at Bondi, or you know what I mean. Everyone wants that nice contract or
Uncle Nick.
backdoor contract, a new car or a nice apartment at Bondi or something like that. But yeah, just over the years, I mean, the success was there as well. They've had their success. They are a long-running club, great club in the long run. But I just can't seem to, when we come up against them and when I watch them play, I just can't seem to to back them fully, or not with my heart in it anyway. There's just another one where I think probably similar to the Panthers is just that bit of arrogance and whatnot. They're not so much a team of workers. I mean, here I am.
Old JWH gets under my skin too.
Yeah, here I am. I mean, never played a first grade game of football in my life, but yeah, they're just, in comparison to some other teams, they're not really. I don't see them as workers. They're that flashy glamour club sort of thing. So I don't know. Maybe that's what annoys me about them. But yeah, just consistently over the years, I think it's always been the Roosters for me. Then yeah, you do have your players, JWH and Probably soon to take that role is our mate who's sitting out for what is it, 8 or 9 weeks after
Spencer.
yeah, Spencer Lenu. So
Uh,
funny enough, coming from the Panthers. So
hmm.
yeah, just Roosters for me, I think. Yeah, that's about it on that one.
Not far from home.
Yep. I think that's about it this week for this week's episode. As I said, if you got any questions or anything, give us a follow on any one of those platforms, Spotify, Apple, or even YouTube, or even hop on Instagram and chuck us a follow on there and drop a comment or swing us a message, and we'll answer your questions in the next episode and whatnot. Anything more from you before we sign off there?
Cheers again for the questions too, Mitch. That was good stuff. Thanks, mate.
Solid. Yep. So thanks for tuning in again this week, and we'll catch you in another fortnight. Hopefully we see Cowboys 5 for 5 on the trot.
Real and true, and have a happy Easter, guys.